My name is Rob Smith. I'm the current serving president for the Almond Glen Owners Association. Today is August the 8th, 2024. It's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This video is to kind of go over how I look at the budget as a member of the board when I think about how we plan out where we're going to spend money, what money we need, that kind of thing, as relates to dues, the whole deal. So this is just one board member's point of view, but it's kind of where I've been coming from for all the years I've served on the board. It's also where it's kind of how things were explained to me in the beginning. It's the philosophy I would say most boards have worked off of, because this is how we all talked about the budget. So that's not to say that everybody's in agreement all the time or that we all put the priorities where they need to be. So the first thing I think I need to do is kind of explain, like, we look at the budget as having a couple things. We got the operating costs, and then we've got reserves. So when we're trying to figure out, like, how much money should each home pay into the dues in the neighborhood, we say, okay, well, what are the costs of everything in the neighborhood? And then we need to figure out, like, what do we need? How much money will we need in the future? So we have operating costs, and then we have reserves. And then we have two different things going on. So we have 295 homes in our neighborhood. And when I say 295 homes, I mean single family and townhome, 295 of them. Of those 295, 231 of those homes are single family homes, and 64 are townhomes. And as far as, like, votes for the board, rights to everything in the neighborhood, all that, there is absolutely no difference. Single family homeowners and townhomes. So keep those numbers in mind as we're going across here. This is kind of like what we're trying to achieve is this right here. It's operating costs and reserves, fully funded every single year. And the reserves are like long term, so we're saving over time, versus the operating costs are a yearly thing. So then we've got 295 homes, we've got 231 single families, and 64 townhomes. So to look at how things go, we've got two different types of things in the neighborhood. So we've got, let me strike that because that would get confusing. Let me call them general costs, and then we've got townhome costs. So what would be a general cost? It would be, let's say, something big. Something big. The pool. We all know that the pool is something that everybody in the neighborhood pays for. What's something else that would be paid for by everybody in the neighborhood? Let's say we need to fix some damage to a sidewalk someplace in the neighborhood. So a sidewalk repair. Various items like that. Entrance. Somebody slams into... I hate to come up with, I'm trying to think of, like, operating expenses. So sidewalk repair, that would actually come more out of a reserve thing. So I don't want to get into reserves yet. Let's just say the landscaping all around throughout the entire neighborhood. Like, we're talking down off of Kilchurn. I think they've got something in the Bend down there, or down off Caprington, there's little spaces, or around the pool, those landscaping costs. Those things start to fall under costs. Let's talk about lights, like the street lights throughout the neighborhood. The street lights are running all up and down all the roadways throughout the neighborhood. That is a shared expense paid for by everybody in the neighborhood. And every one of these bills is divided by 295. So 295 people pay for each of these things. Now, townhome costs, to be equally confusing. It's the nice thing about doing this on a digital board. So landscaping costs. Well, it looks like I said handscaping, doesn't it? Landscaping costs that are specific to the townhomes. So mowing the grass around individual yards over the townhomes. Those costs go on to the townhome owners specifically. Something that's specific to the townhomes would be insurance. Oops. I'm just having a trouble with the, oh wow. It's like it switches and then I switch it. There we go. Insurance. insurance costs specifically for the townhomes. So just throwing out some different things in here. And then, another one over here would be the management company. So like AMG, things like that. And there's these different expenses start to fill up. So the big thing to remember, though, is every time one of these is paid for, it's only paid for by 64 people. But whenever we have a general cost for something, it's 295 people pay for it. So when we're trying to figure out the budget, we go through, and I'm trying to think where I can kind of to break this down here. We go through and we say, okay, the pool is going to cost, and I'm trying to think of some easy numbers that'll work for us. The pool is going to cost to operate it in the year 2025, because we're planning for 2025. Let's say the pool is going to cost $1,000. It absolutely costs more than $1,000. But let's say that's the cost of everything associated with the pool. It's $1,000. That'd be great. The landscaping throughout the general areas of the neighborhood is going to cost another $1,000. Like I said, these numbers don't really mean anything other than just kind of making it easy to do. The lighting for the neighborhood is going to cost $500. And the management company, let's just as a big joke, let's say they cost $100 for the year. This is 2025. This is how we're planning our very basic budget. And then we come over here and we go, well, how much is the landscaping for the townhomes going to cost? Well, the landscaping for the townhomes is going to cost, let's say it's an additional $500, okay? And then the insurance, another joke, because it's ridiculous, every year it gets more. The insurance for just the townhomes portion is going to cost $1,000. Now, there's a whole bunch of other numbers that need to go in here, a whole bunch of other numbers, but we're not going to talk about all those different things. We're just going to use these as some general things. So now we go through and we say, okay, what's our total cost for the different things that are going to happen throughout the neighborhood? So we look and we say, okay, $1,000 for pool, $1,000 for landscaping, $500 for the lights, and then $100 for the management company. So our total is going to add up to $2,600. Well, let me write here, $2,600. Again, a massive joke. The numbers don't mean anything other than just a representation. And then we come over here and we say, okay, landscaping for the townhomes and insurance for the townhomes only. And remember, there's insurance for things like the pool and stuff like that. That's a separate line item. We're just not talking about that right now. Insurance for the pool or for the townhomes and landscaping for the townhomes, that total is going to be $1,500. Oops. I thought it would be easier to do it this way, but me struggling with the digital stuff. Okay, so $1,500. So now we go, okay, that means there's $1,500 for the townhomes divided by 64. So it's going to cost $23 and let's round up 44 cents per town homeowner to take care of those townhome expenses. And then we go over here and we look at this and we go 2,600. Well, remember our 2,600 is divided by 295. So we're going to take 2,600 and we're going to divide that by 295 because that's everybody in the neighborhood pays for these things. So that's actually going to be $8, and we're gonna round it up again. So we'll say $8.82 per homeowner to get that $2,600. Now, obviously, if I did $8.82 times 295 people in the neighborhood, we'd get $2,601.90. So we'd have a little extra there, but that's our basic numbers. Now, okay, so now we need to figure out what our single-family homeowners need to pay just to cover the operating costs in the neighborhood for 2025. Well, they pay $8.82. That's pretty simple. So we go, okay, single-family homeowners in 2025, you need to pay $8.82 in order to cover the things that you pay for in the neighborhood. Now we come over to the town homeowners, but they don't pay $23.44. That wouldn't cover everything. That would only cover what they pay for the townhomes. So for the town homeowners, they have to pay $23.44 per town homeowner to cover their expenses, but they also have to pay for their portion of the general costs, which that would be an additional $8.82 in our little mock-up here. So a town homeowner would then pay $32.26. the reason I'm using the numbers I'm using is look how much more a townhome owner, in my very simple scenario here, look how much more a townhome owner pays per year in this scenario. They're paying $32.26, and a single family homeowner in this make-believe scenario is only paying $8.82. And that's before we get to any reserves. So then you start adding in reserves. So when you start adding in reserves, you start calculating for, and I'm going to just go ahead and erase this, I think. I'll just erase this. Let's take this out. Let's take out these numbers, because you can go back and you can be like, wait a minute, I'm going to recreate this and write it all down myself. So now you look at the general costs of the neighborhood. So let's say, for reserve purposes, we have a pool, for instance, and we think that our pool is going to last 20 years. It's fictitious, doesn't matter. Pool's going to last for 20 years, and we have a big wall. It's a big retaining wall down off of Kilchurn. I think it's Kilchurn, I hope I'm thinking correctly, that looks towards Caprington. If you went down into the ravine, up through the weeds there, you would see this big, huge, I forget how tall it is, retaining wall. And we think that wall is going to last, let's say, 30 years before it needs any repairs. And then we look at the townhomes and we say, if there's no storms, no anything, that all of the townhomes, and I forget how many buildings there are, so let's just make it simple. Let's say, I think there's 13. I wish I could remember off the top of my head. I'm going to say 13. Let's say we got 13 roofs. And remember, the roofs get replaced at different times. I know. You know what? Let's not say roofs, because then somebody will be like, we just had the roofs replaced. Siding. So the siding needs replaced. I don't think we've had the siding replaced. Let's say the siding needs replaced on the buildings. I think there's 13. Let's say there's 13. And it needs replaced in 15 years. We're planning for the future. Everything's at zero right now. Because remember, we started doing all this planning back when the board first took over in 2013. Was it 2013? I think it was 2013. So, and I'm trying to think of something else that's townhome specific over there. Let's say, I feel like the parking lots fall on the townhomes only. I could be wrong, but I think the parking lots in the townhome area fall on the townhomes, but we'll just say for now. And they need to be resurfaced, and everything needs to be fixed with those in 10 years. Okay, so now the numbers are going to get a little more complicated, because we've got different numbers that are going to come in from different angles. So let me throw in a completely different color. Let's go with orange. So how much is it going to cost to replace that pool in 20 years? Let's say it's going to cost $1,000. No, I need a bigger number so that it'll equal out to something. Let's say it's going to cost $100,000. It's much more than that. And how much is it going to cost to do all the big repairs that need done to this retaining wall in 30 years? Well, let's just say it's another $100,000. So, and then let's say, well, what's the siding going to cost? Well, estimating the best we can, taking into effect what siding costs now, what we think it'll cost. Because remember, we're doing projections of not only are we looking at how much it costs to replace a pool, but we're thinking, well, how much is it going to cost to replace a pool in 20 years? So remember, things get more expensive. We've seen that over the last few years. So siding for 13 buildings is in 15 years, let's say we estimate out that it's going to cost $200,000. Again, I'm just getting silly with the number. You know what? I don't want to be uneven with the numbers. So let's just say it's another $100,000. Okay. And then we say parking lots. Well, how much are the parking lots going to cost to do whatever needs to be done to them in 10 years? Well, let's say that's $50,000. Okay. So now this is where the math gets complicated. So we need to save $100,000 to take care of the pool over the next 20 years. So it's really simple. We take $100,000, we divide it by 20 years, and we say that means we need to save, let me change my color again. Let's go with green. We need to save $5,000 per year. If we put $5,000 per year in reserves, when that 20-year mark hits, we should have enough money to fix that pool. And then we do the same thing with the wall. That's another 100,000 we have to save. But remember, we don't need that for another 30 years. So we say if everything goes the way it's supposed to, we should have the money saved up over the next 30 years. So we go, okay, well, that means we need to put, and we're going to round up on this one again. We need to put $3,334 every year into our bank account, into our savings, so that 30 years from now, long after everybody who's currently here maybe has moved away, we all are gone, we don't live here anymore, but the future generations who own these homes and who live in this neighborhood will need that $100,000, and we will have all been paying in the money over the years. So then we go back and we say, okay, well, what about this siding issue? Well, that's another 100,000. And we've got to save that. We've only got 15 years to save that. So we need to save that. That's going to cost us $6,667 because I'm rounding up over the next 15 years. And then same calculation when we go to 50,000 and we do it divided by 10. That's pretty easy. It's $5,000. So this is what the numbers in green are the amount that the board needs to say, well, that's how much money we as a board should responsibly be saving every year. So then we look and we go, okay, well, let's add these up. So for the general expenses, it's going to be, I'm going to do this the longhand way that only adults know how to do because kids learn a totally different way these days. $8,334 has to be saved every year to cover these expenses. Okay. Then we go over here to the townhome expenses, and we go, okay, well, $6,667 plus our $5,000, and we have to save $11,667. So this is the amount of money we have to save every year to be able to pay these things. Now, remember, these are guesstimates because we don't know if we're going to need to replace the siding in 15 years. It might take 20 before we need to replace it. It might need replaced in 5 years, which is really scary when you're looking at big numbers. We don't know exactly how much it's going to last. We might get to the 15-year mark. The siding needs replaced desperately, but it's $200,000 to replace that siding now. And the estimates over the years have only been $100,000. So one thing we do to handle that is over the years, we've done updates to the reserve study where we have the company, I think it's Reserve Advisors, come in, they do an assessment, they have engineers, they come in, they look at everything we have, they go through all that, and they say, hey, based on our new projections, here's what we think you need to be. So right now, today, they might say it's $100,000 to replace the siding in 15 years. Well, they might come back 3 years from now, do an assessment, come in and say, hey, based on the way things have gone, you're going to need $150,000 to replace the siding in the next 13 years. And that's when a board has to say, oh, we've been saving $6,667 per year for the last 3 years on this 15 years for $100,000 budget. And the reality is we're going to need a lot more than that because right now they're saying it's going to be $150,000 to replace the siding. So they have to project. And at that point, a board has to decide, do we adjust to the new numbers? Do we just say, not our problem? Because boards don't have to fund the reserves. They could choose to underfund the reserves, fund the reserves exactly as advised, overfund the reserves. They can do whatever they want with it. So how does this affect our annual dues, though? So, well, we look at it and we go, again, this number here, this number here is divided by, I should just circle it to make it big. That number there is divided by not just the single family homeowners. Remember, it's divided by the total number of homes in the neighborhood. So this number here is divided by 295. And this number over here, this is where it gets tricky, is divided by 64. Okay? So bigger number over here on the right, just for this example, but still, we look at the $8,334, which is needed every single year to save for our reserves. You divide that by 295, and you get $28.25. Okay? Now we come over here to this 11,667. So you go 11,667 divided by the townhomes, only 64, townhomes, that equals out to $182 per year that the townhomes need. So now we come over here to the single family, right down here again. We come over here to the single family, and we're going to go, okay, that's our operating cost for 2025. This 2825 is how much we need to put in reserves in 2025 to cover the general costs of the neighborhood. So we go, it tried to switch on me. We go, let's switch colors again. I hope this is not too confusing. I really do. And if it is, I'm happy to sit down and go, the budget according to Rob. Because I like something that's like, I want to be able to write it down on Crayola. I want to be able to draw it, get my crayons and my paper out and be like, this is simple, I got it. So now we look and we go, okay, we need to save $28.25 per home, remember, in 2025. Plus, everybody in the single families needs to pay in their $8.82. That's $37.07. Okay? Because that is the single family's operating costs per home, and it's the single family reserves paid in, like to the general budget per single family homeowner for the year of 2025. So the 2825 and the 882. So each homeowner, in my fictitious budget here, each single family homeowner would pay $37.07. Now let's come over to, now if they're finally paying more than the townhomes. Look at that. They're almost exact, in fact. They're almost paying the same money. However, let's bring in our numbers here. So we've got $32.26 that our town homeowners have to pay in to cover both the operating costs of the general operating budget and the townhome budget. Now we're going to add in their reserves. Each homeowner needs to pay in $182. Wait a minute, did I do my numbers right? Yeah, okay. $182 per townhome to cover the budget or the reserves for the townhomes. So we're going to add in that 182, and we're going to add that up. That's going to be $214.26. And you go, holy cow, $214.26 paid per townhome owner in 2025 to cover the operating costs and the reserves. That's crazy. And then you come over here to the single family and you're like, but they only paid $37.07. But now you've seen how the numbers got there. But wait, there's more. That $214.26 does not include the $28.25 that has to be paid in by every single homeowner in this neighborhood. So it's not $32.26 plus $182 to cover the townhome reserves. It's $32.26 plus $182 to cover the townhome reserves. Plus, each townhome owner also has to pay in $28.25. So the actual real number for the townhome owners in my fictitious budget would be $242.51. That shows you the disparity, because now, of course, we would divide that $242.51 in this fictitious world. We would divide that by 12 months, and each townhome owner would pay $20.20 per month to cover their dues for the year in this fictitious world. And the single family homeowners, we divide theirs up quarterly because it just makes sense for the dollar amounts. So but we could do it. They could pay monthly if they wanted to. It doesn't really matter. And you could pay weekly if you want. But the single family homeowners divide theirs up quarterly. So they would make 4 payments throughout the year of $9.26. So a single family homeowner would pay $9.26 every quarter. A town homeowner would pay $20.20 per month. And of course, when we go into a meeting, the town homeowners are like, I pay $20 every month. You pay $9 every 4 months, or every 3 months. What are you complaining about? Well, we're paying for what we're paying for. We're each paying for our stuff. We're paying for our part of everything. So that's where we get into these problems. Now you start adding in different line items, different, the dumpsters, it all adds up very quickly. And the next thing you know, you've got this big budget. So that's how we get to the basics of the budget. This is what I want to see when I sit down and start talking to the board. I want to see, and I'm trying to make sure I'm not on, let's see. I want to see, I'm going to go with this big purple color, that we're taking into account what the general costs for the neighborhood are. I want all these line items that we can possibly come up with for the reserves and for the operating costs of the neighborhood. I want all the contracts in here, all the dollars. I want to know what the total is. And at the end, if you tell me that in order to do business in Almond Glen, it's going to be, I'm just going to erase all this for a second to make the numbers a little bigger. If you tell me that, hey, Rob, in order to do business in this neighborhood, it's going to cost $280,000 per year to do all the business we have to do. What I don't want to see is you go, okay, well, that's fine then. It's $280 or $280,000 divided by 295, and that comes out to $949.15 per owner. Because that's not right. That's not right, because if it's $280,000 to operate the neighborhood, I need you to tell me $280,000 is what it costs to operate the neighborhood. And then I want you to say, of that, $100,000 of that is townhome owner expenses. Only townhomes. So now you're telling me that the neighborhood pays $180,000 divided by 295, and $100,000 divided by 64. Oops. Sorry. 64. This is our total. These things together. $280,000 to operate the neighborhood. Oops. This pencil thing is a little tricky to get used to. $280,000 to operate the neighborhood. $100,000 of that is townhome only expenses. $180,000 of it is general expenses for the neighborhood. Everybody pays into it. So we divide that out, and you tell me that's 295. 280. Somebody who's quicker with numbers is doing this in their head right now. 295. Oh my gosh. 280,000 divided by 295. Sorry about that. Is I did it wrong. It's 180. I almost messed myself up. 180 divided by 295 equals this number right here is a cost of $610 and rounding up 17 cents per owner in the neighborhood. That's 295 people. All pay $610.17 to make this budget work. This number, this fictitious budget I'm throwing in here. Again, I'm just doing this for bigger numbers. And then you've got $100,000 divided by 64 people. So that's $1,562.50. And that's divided by 64 people. See the disparity? We don't have 295 plus 64 homes in this neighborhood for a total of 359. We have 64 townhomes, 295 homes. This is the only way it goes in. If a single family homeowner pays in $1, a town homeowner pays in $1 every single time. If I'm paying for something as a single family homeowner, you are paying $1 as well. But it's like a pizza party. If we're having a pizza party and I say, hey, it's BYOB, we're going to pay for, everybody's paying for the pizza, and we all chip in $1 to buy pizzas, and you show up and you say, hey, I want a Coke. I'm not paying for your Coke. You pay for your Coke yourself. This is the Coke. This is the Coca-Cola. This is the drink. This $100,000. It's not mine. It doesn't belong to the general budget. It belongs only to the town homeowners. And no matter what that is, we can make that anything you want. We can make it bigger and better landscaping. We can make it whatever. I don't know. I used to always use the example of somebody coming in to clean your home weekly. If you want to pay for it, then we can have it done. Or if you want to clean homes, those are two choices when it comes to that. So when we're figuring these budgets out, the single family homeowners down here in this $1,562.50 that they have to pay in to make this number work, that's only part of their annual dues, and this number that they have to pay out. They would have to actually in order to be paying their part of everything, they would have to be paying $1,562.50 plus $610.17 to get a total of an adjusted amount of $2,172.67. And then we divide that by 12, and that's going to equal out to, let me do my number here, $181 per month. And these guys up here at 610.17 divided by, oops, I almost switched to an eraser again, divided by their quarterly amounts, they're paying $152.54. You see how, with me not even having a budget in front of me, we're getting in there. So why do single-family homeowners pay what they pay quarterly, and why do town homeowners pay what they pay? Because if we, to make it make sense again, just in case I've lost anybody on the numbers, because I know it's a lot of numbers, 272.67 divided by 4 is $543.16. Why are the single-family homeowners paying $152 quarterly in my fictitious budget, and the townhomes are paying $543.16? Well, you should be able to answer that now. So I hope that gives you the world budget according to Rob. Maybe it makes sense. If I'm completely missing the boat on this, if I'm completely lost in the sauce, the only way to make it work different ways is to pretend like all this doesn't exist. And in my fictitious world we just created, you say that the $280,000 budget is divided by 295, and everybody in the neighborhood pays for everything. They pay for this. They pay for this. They pay for everything. Everybody pays for everything. And that doesn't make any sense, because as a single-family homeowner, I don't benefit from, my dogs are barking in the background, I apologize if that's coming through. I don't benefit as a single-family homeowner from the things that the townhomes benefit from, but the town homeowners benefit from the same things we all benefit from. So a town homeowner can come use the pool. And a lot of times people say, well, I don't use the pool. That doesn't matter. You bought it into the neighborhood. The pool is a resource. So a town homeowners can come use the pool. I don't benefit from things like the siding being replaced on a townhome or the roof on a townhome being replaced. Even if it makes the neighborhood look nicer and it makes it more beautiful, and the townhomes looking like trash would hurt my property values in some way, it's still not my problem to pay for. And if we don't properly save for these right here, we have a problem in the future.